Jesse Palmer joins us. How did it feel last night, Jess?
For a lot of different people, associated with the NFL and with ESPN and with ABC and all of us. But, I really thought everyone did a great job pulling it off. Reese and I, Maria Taylor, Tom Rinaldi, we were all in studio, here in Bristol, Connecticut. And, we obviously had a bunch of analysts in different places and around. But, just a great job communicating. At the end of the day, the NFL draft for us, we look forward to this every year. We have so much fun doing this. It's still one of the biggest sporting events, of the year, certainly in this country. And while we know it was going to look a lot different last night, I think we felt like we were still able to tell a lot of stories and show a lot of the emotions. There were tremendous interviews with the players, with coaches, and with their families via satellite, via remote. But I think a lot of that still came through. So, we had a lot of fun last night. I know we're really excited to do it again tonight.
What was your oh wow moment last night?
I think for me it was probably either Isaiah Simmons falling to the Arizona Cardinals. I fully expected him to be gone by the fourth pick. What I thought going to the New York Giants, and the fact that Cliff Kingsbury landed him, I think at number 8, to me was tremendous. And then I think Jordan Love going to the Green Bay Packers late in the first round, I think was surprising. A lot of people thought they might go wide receiver and get Aaron Rodgers some help. And I know that, the Jordan Love story was all of his talent, and obviously with the 17 interceptions, that was sort of a Jekyll and Hyde scenario, and who was going to take the chance on him. And at the end of the day, with Aaron Rodgers going into his 16th year, the Packers decided to make the contingency pick. I thought that was really interesting.
But this, you played the position, you were a backup and understand that role if you're brought in. Are you threatening to the starting quarterback? Normally, we didn't do that. You'd bring in a backup, and he wasn't going to threaten the starter. Peyton Manning with his backup for all those years with the Colts. Like, you never had somebody. Patriots bring in Garoppolo. I don't know if they thought he was going to threaten Tom as quickly as he did, but now you bring in Jordan Love, extremely talented. And what do you think the time frame is on Jordan Love developing, and how important is it for him to develop into the heir apparent for Aaron Rodgers?
Well, Aaron Rodgers is an alpha quarterback, as we all know, and I don't think he feels threatened at all. I think Aaron Rodgers could play another 4 years minimum if he wanted to. Having said that, this is a great situation for Jordan Love. And honestly, Dan, I think it's a situation that he needs. He needs to be on the bench, and he needs to watch one of the great decision makers in the game today play football, and he needs to see that. Jordan Love threw 17 picks last year. When I watched the tape on him, it wasn't an issue of accuracy. It was an issue of decision-making. And oftentimes, for strong-arm quarterbacks, they believe they can make each and every single throw, and it gets them in trouble. And I do think at times last year for Jordan Love at Utah State, he was pressing. He didn't have a lot of help. He didn't have great protection up front. He didn't have wide receivers separating and getting wide open. So I think Jordan Love really felt like he had to make superhuman-type plays in order for them to be competitive and win games. But I think now in a situation like Green Bay, they can help, and Aaron Rodgers can show him and help coach him out of those bad decisions to understand you don't have to make every play. We've got Devontae Adams. We've got a good young tight end in Jay Sternberger. We've got Aaron Jones at running back. There are parts and pieces around you. Aaron Rodgers arguably has the strongest arm in the National Football League. He doesn't throw a lot of interceptions, though, because he's very smart and he makes good decisions. Jordan Love is going to have to sit and wait and watch. But I don't think you could ask for a better situation if you were Jordan Love. And if you're Aaron Rodgers, you're not threatened because you're not losing your job anytime soon.
Talking to Jesse Palmer, ESPN college football analyst, back on ABC's coverage tonight and Saturday beginning at noon Eastern. You're so good at this, looking at these quarterbacks and assessing, how good they are and what they need to work on. I'm curious how tough it is, though, Jess, to take them from college to the pros and as they make that transition. Because I can look at a guy in college and say he's really good. Case in point, Patrick Mahomes. I thought he was fascinating. I had no idea he would be anywhere near what he is now. Whereas Deshaun Watson, I said, that guy's a star. How do you try to troubleshoot this and say, this guy will work or this guy won't?
I think evaluating the quarterback position to me is probably the hardest evaluation of any single individual position, I think, in all of sports. And I just think, Dan, There are so many different variables and factors that go into it, both physical and mental and emotional. If you said of the quarterbacks that got picked last night, who am I least concerned about? I would say probably Joe Burrow out of LSU. I've said this and I'll keep saying it. 13 years at ESPN, he's the most accurate quarterback that I've seen in college football. And I think accuracy is something that you can improve with fundamentals, but ultimately I think it's inherent. And Joe Burrow completing 76% of his throws in an offense where they throw the ball deep down the field and just constantly hitting receivers in the numbers and in the face mask. Like, I know that accuracy is going to translate to the next level regardless of what system he plays in. And then there's a guy like Justin Herbert out of Oregon that's playing sort of in this up-tempo spread offense. There's sort of a lot of dinking and dunking, a lot of screen throws and pump faking guys early to open up more throws downfield. The systematic change for him with the Los Angeles Chargers, that's going to be a whole lot different. And I think certainly scouts looking at him at the Senior Bowl and how well he performed there, it gives them hope that he can make that transition. But it's just simply something we just don't know. So, it really is in a lot of ways still a guessing game. And there's a lot of big names still out there that we're going to see picked coming up here, Dan, whether it's Jacob Eason out of Washington, who played in a pro-style system, or Jalen Hurts that played in a more pro-style system in Alabama, and then more of an air raid system with Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma. How is that going to translate to the next level as well? It'll be interesting to see.
All right, if you need a quarterback in the second round, who are you taking?
I'm going with Jacob Eason. For me, I love the fact playing at Washington under center with a tight end and a fullback on the field. This guy had to play, versus condensed defenses and looks. Took a lot of 7-step drops and play action, and he can push the football downfield. 6'6", 230 pounds. He was the number one quarterback coming out of high school for a reason. He has a lot of talent. He started at Georgia as a true freshman, of course, got hurt, lost his job to Jake Fromm, and had to sit out 2 years between, sitting out at Georgia with the injury and then transferring to Washington and having to redshirt. And I think that probably hurt his development a little bit, but I think he has a lot of the natural tools you need to succeed at the next level. And then I'll say this. I think the biggest story tonight is, where does Jalen Hurts go?
Yeah.
He reminds me a lot of potentially Taysom Hill with the New Orleans Saints. Jalen Hurts, he's an alpha, won 38 games in college at 2 different programs. And I think after the Lamar Jackson phenomenon now, everyone's trying to find that X factor at quarterback that could take your offense to the next level. He's not as dynamic a runner as Lamar Jackson, certainly, but he ran for over 3,800 yards and 43 touchdowns in college. And he's a guy who's a quarterback, but I could see Jalen Hurts playing a little running back, a little receiver, a little special teams at the next level. Doesn't have to play quarterback necessarily right away. And with New England and Pittsburgh and Indianapolis, maybe Jacksonville, there's some teams that need quarterbacks early. So Jacob Eason, Jalen Hurts, I think those will be two of the bigger storylines, I think, at the start of tonight.
Yeah, I hope Hurts gets a chance. I like that kid. The way he handled the Alabama situation, he goes to Oklahoma, proves that he can go into that same system that Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray did and add another dimension to it. I would love to see him in a place like Carolina where he could wait a couple of years for Teddy Bridgewater and then maybe you ease him in to the lineup there. But I think there's some fascinating second-round possibilities here. Also, is it tougher to handicap an offensive tackle or a wide receiver in the first round?
That's a great question. I think for a very, very long time, it was tougher to handicap wide receivers, I think, based on the system that you play in, and especially in the college game today with, these quote-unquote air raid offenses where there's empty sets. And, a lot of these receivers, they don't have these extensive route trees that you see on Sundays in the National Football League. It's either catch a screen, catch a bubble screen, make a guy miss, go score, or just run a go route and high point the football and score. But today it's hard to look at offensive tackles as well because, for the same reason, we don't see a lot of I formation offense anymore in college football. And you don't see a lot of the same run schemes or pass protection schemes in college as you do in the National Football League. The good news for offensive tackles today in these types of offenses in college is that more often than not, you're on an island. You're not getting a lot of help from tight ends and running backs. So you can see who's a good pass protector and who's a good athlete. But because of the lack of run schemes, I mean, you see a lot of zone runs and zone reads and these run pass options. But, again, you don't necessarily see tackles with a tight end lined up beside them, and now they have to down block or they have to pull necessarily or get into the second level. I think it's much tougher today to really get a good idea at offensive tackle with respect to the scheme that they're playing. We know who the good athletes are and who can bench press a lot and who can run 40-yard dash times very, very fast through the combine and all the testing. But, I think the way the game has changed, particularly at the college level, sometimes makes it tougher to grade out these offensive linemen and help predict how successful they're going to be on Sunday.
Last hour, we broke the story that Chris Sims, the former NFL quarterback, he was first approached in the same offseason as you to be on The Bachelor. He believes he was approached first, and he said no, he couldn't because John Gruden, he said, would kill him if he did. Does that bother you as a quarterback or as just a handsome guy that Chris Sims might have been approached before you to be on The Bachelor?
Well, I mean, ultimately, it makes me feel like sloppy seconds for ABC first and foremost.
You seem shaken. You seem shaken by this revelation.
Yeah, no, I mean, I might. I'm gonna make a few phone calls.
Okay, all right.
I might have to sit out the second round tonight and just try to get over that before I can recover for the third round. I mean, not only am I jealous that Chris Sims was a lefty and could throw tremendous velocity, but now on top of that, I just come to realize I was playing second fiddle to ABC all along in that process. 14 years after it's happened, at least I guess I get some clarity and some finality now to this whole thing.
But see, this is ABC. They bring us The Bachelor, right? And you're working for ABC tonight. I mean, you got to have mixed emotions about this, Jesse.
Yeah, and and it's just, I'm trying to wear different hats here.
Yeah.
All for the same network, but at some point you can only juggle so much.
Thoughts and prayers for you tonight. We're here for you if you need us, and good luck.
I appreciate it. Stay safe.
Thank you. That's Jesse Palmer, ESPN college football analyst.